doing a video on how to add an explosion to your video, and if you do it right, it should look something like that. I've seen some videos on YouTube and I'm not sure that everybody's doing it quite right. So hopefully this is right, although I know there's more than one way to skin a cat. So first you've got to get your footage for the explosion. You can get that for free, fortunately, from Premium Beat. You just go to that website, detonate, and download it. It comes in a zip file, unzip it, and it comes with the effects, sound, and actually the explosive effect. So to get started on this, we'll just right click and drag this to the timeline, and then as a video only, because we don't want any audio on that. If you look into properties, one thing interesting is that this is 23.97 frames per second. So keep that in your mind. The footage is 24 frames per second, but we're going to be rendering out at a higher frame rate than that. So we're also going to trim this because we don't need this just darkness there. Now we've got our background clip. This is just a still image I have. It could be anything you want, but this is just a still image. So I drag it to the same length as the explosion. And then I'm going to mute that track so I can see through. The explosive clip is blocking my view. So then we go into crop and pan. We put it to the first frame, and then we're going to set this to 16:9 because we don't want those pillar boxes. And then with this control, I can move on up and down only and recompose it to look a little bit better. And then we're done with that. And then I can unmute that, and now we can't see it again. Now what we're going to do is kind of the big thing. So we go into effects, and this is where I think a lot of people have problems. So you get the chroma key, you hold down control, then get levels, and then get channel blend, go add, and go OK. And this is what you need to make it work. Now they're out of position, so you can click and drag them into position. So you want chroma key, levels, and channel blend, and each one has a purpose. So we click off channel blend, click off levels, click on chroma key here, be sure that it's clicked so that it's active. Now we want to key out that color. So we go to the color box, we get the color dropper tool, and now this is important, draw a square, don't just click. And you'll see if you look at the values, it's zeroed out to black. You can't see the explosion because of where our cursor is right now, but if I move it, there's the explosion. So now we've keyed out the black and we can see through to the background layer, which is great. And now we're going to go into levels. So we click that and click that to activate it. And now if we control the input start, you can see we can darken up the fireball. Before the fireball was kind of blown out. And again, this is a preference setting. There's no right or wrong. Just drag it to where you like it. I don't know. I kind of like it there. You know, I don't want it overly red. Nice and toasty like that. Looks good enough to me. Now we're going to click in channel blend, and you'll see what this is going to do in a minute here. Let me reposition this, because if you look at the smoke, if we play this back, see how the smoke looks so transparent? It kind of looks fake. It's not as dark as it probably really was in real life. So what controls that is the alpha channel. So what we got to do is go into the channel blend. That's where we can get to the alpha channel. And if we come down here, if you hit control and push up, you can darken the smoke cloud. Again, this is another preference setting. I mean, some people like a lot of salt, a lot of people don't like salt. You know, I like salt, you know, so it just depends. I don't know where I want to drag it. I've never seen that many fireballs in real life, so it looks about right to me. I mean, I've been to barbecues, so it's dark, but you can see through smoke usually. So I think that's about as good as, I mean, that's as good as I feel like it needs to be right now. So then what we're done, there's one last thing we're going to do now is if we hit invert mask or show mask only, you're going to want to add a touch of blur around the edges, because sometimes there's some pixelation. So if you put the mask on, you can see the effect of the blur. So of course you don't want to overdo that. You can make it look ridiculous. So it's really just a touch of blur, and really what you're going to need to do is render out the video, see how you like it, and then maybe go back and adjust these settings even again. So you may not get it right the first time. It's really just playing around with it. So now I'm going to uncheck. I got to go back into chroma key here. I'm going to uncheck the mask, so now I can see everything. And there's our explosion. I mean, for free, can you complain? I mean, I can't complain. It's for free. So now if I drag the audio down, you know, I don't know if this is kind of cheesy or whatever. It may not sound right. There's no audio. I realize you can't hear the audio, but I could. So you can stretch it or compress it. And if you hit control, you can make it sound a little different as you're clicking and dragging it. So that's good enough. Now this is important. Now if we go into properties, now remember what resample. A lot of people say to turn off resample, but if you're shooting at 23.97 and you're going to be rendering to 29.97, that's not the same. So you're going to need some frames in there to make up the difference there, and that's what resample does. So if you're going from 23 to 30, 24 to 30 frames, basically, you want resample on. And then you want to set the resolution quality to best. And now this is important too. You want to set it from 8-bit to 32-bit, and that will help prevent banding. And now what we do is we're going to drag a loop over this bad boy here. And we're going to, now here's where the frame rate changes. The property was 23.97. Now we're going to render at 29.97. That's where the smart resample will come in. So now we're going to change this to explosion or whatever and give it a name. It's better than Untitled, I think. And we're going to render this. And that's it. I hope you found this helpful. I know it's very frustrating. It's very difficult to find information about this program online sometimes. So sometimes what you get isn't accurate. You can move this effect and put it back behind those rocks, and I might do a video on that. But this is what you end up with. So I hope you found this helpful. And please subscribe if you can. It really helps us. We were hurt by the ad apocalypse, and we're trying to get our numbers up. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.